July 19, 2026, New Jersey. Spain and Argentina face off. The reigning giants of two continents battling for one trophy. In the 106th minute, Spain secures a 1-0 victory to claim the crown. When the referee blew the final whistle, the pitch descended into chaos. Post-match footage captured Argentina's Leandro Paredes grabbing Spain's Eric Garcia by the throat. Moments later, Paredes shoved Gavi to the ground. The altercations clearly multiplied. Nahuel Molina confronted Spain's captain Rodri. Argentina's assistant coach, Roberto Ayala, clashed directly with Dani Olmo. Coaches sprinted onto the gas, pulling players apart. For several minutes, the global broadcast of football's most prestigious stage resembled a street fight. Institutional response was swift. Within 24 hours, FIFA opened a full disciplinary investigation. The footage threatened severe consequences, including retroactive red cards and lengthy suspensions for the players involved. Global media seized on the imagery. The dominant narrative painted the Argentinian squad as bitter losers, reacting to a legitimate defeat with unprovoked malice. Viewing these physical altercations in a vacuum creates a compelling story of villains and victims, but relying on the broadcast's final minutes hides a much more complex sequence of events. To understand the violence on the pitch, we have to rewind the clock and look at the structural stressors the Argentinian team endured before the whistle ever blew. Late in regulation time, Argentina suffered a catastrophic setback. Enzo Fernandez made a reckless challenge on Pau Cubarsí. The referee handed down a second yellow card, followed by a red. Fernandez was gone. This diagram illustrates the tactical nightmare Argentina inherited. They now had to survive 30 minutes of extra time with only 10 men, playing against the European champions. Spain's philosophy is built on relentless possession. They keep the ball and probe the edges. To counter this, the 10-man Argentinian defense had to continuously shift, chase, and close gaps, accelerating their physical exhaustion with every passing minute. In the 106th minute, the dam broke. The exhausted defensive shape fractured under the pressure. A gap opened, and Ferran Torres scored the decisive goal. Down a man, Argentina had no room to rotate their squad. There were no fresh legs to deploy. The athletes on the pitch were trapped in an escalating test of physical endurance. The 1-0 scoreline was the end result of a physical and tactical collapse. Reframe the exact moment the final whistle blew as the sudden, violent release of massive built-up pressure. Surviving extra time requires intense, unified mental focus. The end of the match instantly removes that structure, creating a sudden psychological vacuum for the exhausted players. The actions of Paredes and his teammates suggest an uncontrollable physical overflow. They were entirely consumed by adrenaline and heartbreak. Once the boundaries and rules of the game vanish, extreme elite athletic grief often looks exactly like violence. The first contradiction to the public's judgment came from an unexpected source, the Spanish players themselves. Gavi, the player shoved to the ground by Paredes, spoke out publicly. He stated directly that the Argentinian players should face no suspensions for their actions. He dismissed the calls for punishment, categorizing the brawl simply as part of football. This defense reveals an empathy that only combatants who share the arena can truly understand. The players recognize the aftermath as a mutual, tragic consequence of the stakes. That empathy reframes the final piece of visual evidence used to condemn Argentina. After the brawl, an image circulated of several Argentinian players with their backs turned as Spain lifted the trophy. Pundits and fans immediately weaponized the photo, pointing to it as an ultimate display of bitterness and a refusal to acknowledge the victors. Instead, the players were turning toward their own fans, trying to find comfort while processing the agonizing defeat. In fact, earlier in the ceremony, the Spanish team had formed a guard of honor, applauding the Argentinian players as they walked through. The agonizing tactical endurance, the sudden release of adrenaline, and the misinterpreted gestures all characterize a human breakdown. The chaos on the pitch in New Jersey proves a difficult truth about high-stakes human competition. In the moment the match ends, respect and chaotic heartbreak look the same.